Are you ever curious about what goes on in the mind of a shaman?
All the time.
All the time.
I'm not. I'm actually kind of over that topic. So thanks for listening and catch you on the next episode.
Not.
No.
Absolutely not.
No. This topic is interesting because we've referred to it in a number of episodes, and we kind of have something collectively going on, if you will. Oh, I'm not going to be able to see anything else but baby, and then I'm just going to be gone on a whole different tangent. So if you haven't seen the YouTube channel, go to the YouTube channel. You'll get a glimpse of baby. We are not responsible for any pregnancies that happen to you once you child. Also, FYI.
Welcome to the world of Kaylin right now, and basically tits out.
Exactly. I'm actually surprised when I talk to you and you have a shirt on.
I do my best.
So anyway, we're talking today about kind of highest potential timeline and the way of which I kind of see and absorb things for collective and for kind of individual like circumstances. Because I was talking to someone yesterday, I'm going to be on her podcast in a couple weeks. But she's like, so do you hear, like, what do they look like? And I was like, it's not that simple. Like, it's not like she was wanting kind of descriptions. So I think I'm going to try to describe it here with the help of Jade and Kaylin prompting questions, because they've seen it in action now for a 2+ years. And we'll try to get this topic out there.
Let's do
Excellent.
it.
So you guys,
first explain what it is. Explain. Yeah.
Explain highest potential timeline.
Highest potential timeline.
What that is, and then what kind of happens when you are kind of tapping in and going through the process of seeing that from someone.
So everyone has kind of a timeline assigned to their soul. And there's different like versions of that timeline. There's like the version if you were to completely neglect yourself, if you were to hold on to all of your trauma, if you were to kind of go down a darker path. And then there is a version that is like I call it highest potential timeline because that's the best way that I can come up with a name for it. But it's like if all stars were to align, if you were to really embody, really be present, really do the work, and like really put in the effort of like where your trajectory could go. So I see, and I've drawn a picture for these guys before. I see kind of this array, and it looks like very much an Excel spreadsheet, and it has like certain things.
That tracks.
I'm a geek. I see like different lines of like, okay, a one timeline might be 0 to 7, and at 0 to 7, like there might be a break that could have happened at 5 that would take them from 5 to 12, or like, so it's kind of like this piecemealed version of like how you kind of progress and grow as an individual. And part of what I do is like have you jump from timeline to timeline and kind of move from one version to the next to progress and kind of go a little bit quicker, a little bit faster, with a little bit more clarity than had you just been kind of working on your own. So maybe I'll draw the picture out and attach it to the show notes if you guys are so lucky to see my drawings.
Beautiful.
I love. Yeah.
Go, Kaylin, go.
Oh, I was going to say, I think what is so interesting to me about, the highest potential timelines that you get for your clients or that you see that you can tap into is that you also are shown how far you can push it too.
Yes.
So, it's less about what you want or what the person wants and more about what their team says they can handle. Exactly. So you can be gentle with someone and, maybe in a session, someone is good to go. I'm going to put a number on it, but there's no numbers on these, but say they can jump 20 steps.
Yep.
Again, this is so not what it is, but I'm doing that for the sake of the illustration. Say you get that someone can go 20 steps, but someone else that you're working with can only jump 3. You are given that by their team. And so, and by your team too, how you can, work with them. That's so freaking cool.
So it's really interesting as I can see that HPT, the highest potential, and like some people I'm not really meant to give them what that looks like because it would be so far out of the realm of possibilities for them to even conceptualize what that would look like for them. So like I'm also kind of like highlighted, like you are here, like the map at the mall, you are here and like you can get here. And this is what I'm allowed to talk about versus like, I can also see exponentially higher than that. But if I were like just having a conversation with someone and be like, okay, like, you know, they think they're in a happy marriage. They're supposedly love their job. All of these things they're like, I've made, like on paper, they're like, I've made it. And I'm like, but actually like, you're not fully happy. You're not embodied. You're not present. You're actually disassociating 98% of the time. And this is what could be your happy. Like, I can't say that to them because they don't understand. They can't conceptualize that quite yet. They might have a certain threshold of conceptualization.
Beautiful.
Shit.
Exactly.
Mhm.
It's interesting because like the highest potential timeline as well, like it's at their core, when they are fully whole, when they are fully healed, when they are fully embodied, when they are fully present, and when their soul is fully satisfied. Like that's what that is.
I love that. I love the parallels you're talking. I mean, we've already kind of talked about this, but of a person's birth chart, right? If your birth chart is your karmic journey, you have high road and low road options.
Yep.
At every step. And those
Mhm.
are highlighted with transits that occur. And some of your biggest doozies of transits are your late 30s, early 40s. And I have this theory that that's why you meet 60-year-olds that look like they're 80 and 80-year-olds that look like they're 60, because it's almost like the universe is like never last. It's not over. It's not ever over, but like this very intense time frame where it's like all those lessons that you've been given an opportunity to learn, we're going to bring them all to the surface in this super intense way. And then if you meet those lessons and pay attention, then you can live the back half of your life with just this joy and peace.
Exactly.
So I love the parallel. And that's why I get so excited to work with you, because it's so amazing to have clients be able to see it from different perspectives like that. But we're always saying the same thing.
And there's a piece in there as well that is obviously like extracting of lessons, because like what I find interesting is people will be like, oh, this happened to me, this circumstance, this. And I'm like, great, but like, what did you learn? Where did it take you? What was the door that opened because X, Y, and Z happened? And like just that perspective shift.
Yeah.
Like honestly, what people needed, what I needed too, when I was kind of going through my piece. There's just a lot of talking going on. I love it.
What I keep thinking of, because I've been a part of a lot of Cass's sessions with some of her clients, and I think about the way that you work with clients, and you can already see what's happened, what has affected them. And I mean, a lot of that, you ask questions to get them to tell you, to kind of gauge what they're willing to. But what I love is when you ask a question and they don't answer how you know that they should, and then you rephrase it like significantly in multiple different ways. Like, you are going to answer this, and you're going to answer this the right way, and you're going to surrender to this because I already know the answer.
So I just had a client who I really adore, and I needed to push him to the point of the trigger to give me a piece of information that I was looking for that I knew was in there. And I kept pushing, and he was like not willing to go. And I kept pushing and not willing to go. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, and so he's like, why do you keep asking me this? And he's like, it feels like you're trying to find something. He's like, he's like, none of these questions are even connected. He's like, I have no idea why you're like asking me this. Right. So he's like, tell me what you see because of this. So I just like I was like, okay, great. Here's my invitation. This is where I get a little trajectory. I was like, okay, you want to know what I see? Here's what I see. And I'm like, it's because this, here's your PTSD. Here's why you have PTSD. Here's what happened. Your soul is merged, which is why you're suicidal, blah, blah, blah. And he hadn't even said he was suicidal, hadn't said any of these words. And he literally sits there and like mouth falls open, tears start falling. And I was like, he's like, how did you get that from anything I said? I was like, because I'm listening to the things that you're not saying. Like,
Correct.
let's just be, that's why I'm here.
Yeah, this has nothing to do with what you said and everything to do with what your team said.
I'm like, I just needed to push you to that trigger so that I can because he was used to people pushing him to that trigger and then leaving him there and being like, okay, well, the session's 30 minutes, you're done. Very like traditional medical system. And I was like, I needed to push you that so I could also be present for you. So you know that I'm not just going to bounce. So it's a trust factor in there as well.
Does it help you to access this, the timeline if you're having conversation with them, like more pieces drop in as you ask questions, right? Like it's not just you'll get information before you even talk to them, but more comes through. It just like, can you kind of explain how that feels or what's that's
it
like?
kind of looks like a very whimsical stick drawing to start.
Okay.
And like an outline, very sketched of like, okay, so I'm seeing this here, I'm seeing this here, I'm seeing this here. And then as I'm asking questions, things are getting filled in and sketched in and colored in more. And then as I'm continuing to ask questions, they're maybe getting more vibrant. I'm getting clarity on what's important, what's not important. I'm getting maybe more like vignettes and video of like snapshots of like what actually happened versus what the story is I'm being told is happening. So they're basically starting to, I get the outline and they're starting to paint the illustration over. So then I'm basically seeing what happened and what they say happens and where's the discrepancy, where's the story, where's the piece that the cognitive mind took over and actually started to put kind of meaning onto. But it's a very like stick drawing to video kind of process of like, if you think of like animation, like that's where it goes. It's probably the best way to describe it.
And if they can't handle the full, bits of information you're getting, do you not get that information? Or do you like explain how that is?
I might get the information, but it's not something that I'm told to put out there and told to speak out there. So throughout this whole process, it's 100% channeled. And like I 95% of the time don't even remember what I said.
Right. That's typical.
Well, I think like 95% of the time in life, I don't remember what I said either, but that's so like when I'm connected directly in, like it's not my voice. It's not my perception. It's not my own point of view. And it's kind of based upon this concept in shamanism, which is called hollow bone. So if I were to work with someone and I were to have all of my perceptions, all of my filters, all of my things, all of the things that have happened to me and all of the masks and so forth, like filters that I have, and lenses that I have, and I were to talk to someone, I can get very judgmental very quickly. So like, it's been interesting working with like, I've had a number of addicts that I've worked with. I've had a number of people who have PTSD and complex PTSD. I've had a number of people who were abused. I've had a number of people who were the abuser in the relationship. So like, I have to remove all of my layers in order to like see what they need versus like give them my own opinion, if that makes sense.
For sure. Yeah. I can also highly relate to that. Like if I'm working with a person and I'm reading their birth chart, they to me become the most beautiful human being on the planet. But if I weren't working with them, I wouldn't even necessarily like them. But if I'm working with them, they're like, all I can see is potential.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. It's just like, it's almost an emptying of, I've described it in kind of a thesis that I wrote of an emptying of self in order to see things through their own eyes and to see things through their perspective of why they believe what they believe. Because in order to change a belief system, I have to first know why they believe it in the first place. Whether it's right or wrong, like I need to know where the root of that is and where it stemmed from to like prune back and change belief system. And that's actually like, there's Bruce Lipton wrote a book about biology of belief that is encapsulated what that 19-hour book is about, to save you 19 hours of your life. There's a little timeline jumping for you. So
that's a beautiful gift.
It's an interesting gift. It's funny because like I can see it for myself glimmers, but I also like, when you're doing this work, sometimes like I just started working with another shaman. I'm like, I need a blind spot detector.
Yeah.
Like I can see different bits and pieces for myself, but like I don't see what I'm not seeing. And she's like,
Yeah.
that's super descriptive.
Yeah. It's like a therapists need therapists.
Correct.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly
Yeah.
what I just thought of. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So like, but you like, and then it's funny because also when you're in this space too, and I feel like it's same true holds true for therapy, like you tend to become hyper aware and almost like not nitpicky, but like again, hyper aware, like hyper focused and like, because you see all of it and you see the trends and you see the triggers and you see the different pieces. So I feel like it's the same for shamanism as it is for therapy.
Yeah.
On that note, I need to Zulu.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if you guys don't know what that was, go ahead and listen to the last episode and we'll catch you on the next one.
Yeah. So appreciate you.
Love you.
Love you both.